Hello and welcome, Leverage WP. I'm excited to announce the new Leverage WP Facebook group and invite you to join free for all. I'd love to have you come in and join us here, and I'll give you a little tour and a couple of tips as I go over the Leverage WP framework that I wrote up a few years ago on a cocktail napkin, which actually was my iPad. But let me switch over to my screen here and I'll show you, first of all, this is what the Facebook group Leverage WP looks like. You can come over to facebook.com/groups/Leverage WP or go to Facebook and just search for Leverage WP under groups and you should be able to find us. Come over here and click the join button in red and answer the 3 questions, if you would, please, to join the group, and I'll approve you. I'm going to be talking about website systems that I've been building over the last 25, 30 years for website clients and small businesses. And these website systems, really for experts, coaches, entrepreneurs, even web designers and agencies like I've been doing for the last long time. I've really mastered how to do hosting, how to manage websites over time, and build websites for online businesses. And so that's what this is all about. If you scroll down a little bit, you can take a look at one of my first posts here in the group. It's the Leverage WordPress framework that I wrote up, kind of a cocktail napkin drawing as far as brainstorming my ideas for what it takes to run a business on WordPress and leverage WordPress. So let me just have you look around here, follow along on my screen as I look around right here and show you just really at the top, middle to upper left section of the framework. Now, the framework I know looks a bit complex with all these boxes, colored boxes and arrows and highlighting and check marks, but let's just focus on one little part as an introduction here to get started, and I'll give you a couple tips along the way. First of all, the website, something that needs to be hosted, but you can see that I have a separate box for the domain name, you.com. Now, it's a best practice, tip number 1, don't allow your website host to give you a discounted domain name or register your domain name through your website host. You'd do much better to register your domain name at a separate domain registrar and keep that separately from your website hosting. This gives you much more mobility and the freedom to move websites without having to change ownership of the domain name, transfer ownership, which can be pretty complex. You can also get yourself locked out for 60 days before you're allowed to transfer ownership if you make changes at the domain level. And so I love to use Cloudflare these days for domain name registration. Tip number 2, use Cloudflare for domain registration because they don't mark up their charges for domain registration. Companies like Namecheap, Network Solutions, GoDaddy, they'll charge you upwards of more than $20 per year for a .com domain these days, whereas Cloudflare is something like $8 or $9 per year. They just don't mark it up. They have a high-level registration service. And with that said, I also like to use Cloudflare for my DNS. DNS stands for Domain Name System. And wherever you register your domain name, initially that's where your DNS records are controlled. The DNS records, I say the word control here, the DNS records are what point traffic that come to your domain name depending on what they want to do, whether they're going to your website, your hosted website, or your email. And you also use DNS records to verify ownership of your domain name for certain services and things like that. So I like to use Cloudflare not only for domain registration, but also for my DNS. And what that gives you is high level of control. For example, if you're going to move websites or even upgrade your server at your existing hosting, you might have to change the IP address where that domain name is pointing. And when you're using a DNS registration system company like Cloudflare, they're very highly connected to the internet. They power a lot of the infrastructure of the internet with hardware servers across the whole world. And so they have really instant DNS propagation, which means that when you make a change to your domain name's DNS records, the change is instantly available across the whole world. Where other services like those DNS registrars I mentioned and hosting companies that are hosting DNS within their website hosting programs, they might take 24 to 48 hours for DNS propagation, which means not only do you have to wait, but if you're doing upgrades, there actually might be downtime, and you might have to put up something like a maintenance or a coming soon page while you're doing work on a website. Never desired. So whenever I move a website or I'm making an upgrade at a staging domain or I need to upgrade a server, I always get instant access for the public to the new website with no downtime. And so that's really it as far as advice I have. Just one more tip. Tip number 3. If you are using a domain name based email, if you want to have email at your domain name, professional business level email, you need to host your own email. And if you'll notice in the the Leverage WP framework document here I have, send and receive email, which is hosted, is in a separate box from the website host. And so it's a best practice to host your professional emails at your domain name at an email hosting company. Google Workspace is very good for this. They charge about, at this time, $5 per email per month. I like to use Rackspace, which is now about $3 per email per month, with 25 gigabytes of email box storage and much faster and higher deliverability scores as far as the way they manage their IP addresses that they use for email and email deliverability. And so another best practice, host your business email separate from your website host. And so there's a little overview of part of the Leverage WP framework that I've written out here. When you do come to the new Facebook group, Leverage WP, and become a member, go ahead and go to the welcome post. You'll see it near the top of the content here. Just take a minute to go ahead and read the welcome post and connect with me by following a little bit more closely so that you can hear when I post new content. I'll be coming into the group here every week to do a live stream, as well as posting multiple times a week new content for helping you with your business, your website design agency, and leveraging WordPress to profit. And so thanks for being here. I'm excited to launch this group. I'm excited after only a little while. We're already up to 124 members as of right now when I'm shooting this video. And I hope to see you here. All right, see you there.